Frank Sullivan noticed the rat first. Just a flash of movement near his shed, gone before he could really look at it. He told himself it was nothing. A week later, he saw something longer, thinner, moving through the grass near his porch steps. That's when he stopped telling himself it was nothing. Here's what Frank didn't realize. The snake and the rat weren't really the problem. His yard was. Somewhere in almost every American backyard, there's a quiet invitation. A pile of leaves that never got raked, ground cover that's grown a little too thick, bird seed that spills every morning and just sits there, standing water in a saucer under a flower pot. None of it looks dangerous. All of it looks, to a rat or a snake, like room and board. So today, we're going to walk through 9 plants that can help change that invitation into something a lot less appealing. But before we get into them, I want to make you a promise, and I want to be honest about what that promise actually is. If you're new here, this channel is about growing things that actually work in a real backyard, not a laboratory. If that sounds useful, go ahead and subscribe now, because we get into exactly that kind of practical, no-nonsense gardening every week. Now, the honest part. No plant is a force field. I'm not going to stand here and tell you that lining your fence with 9 plants means you'll never see a rat or a snake again. Anyone who tells you that is selling something. What these plants can actually do is change the math a little. Snakes are mostly drawn in by 2 things: a place to hide and something to eat. Usually that something is a rodent. Rats are drawn in by food, water, and a safe place to nest. So, in a strange way, dealing with rats is often step 1 in dealing with snakes, because a yard with no rats is a yard with a lot less reason for a snake to stick around. Keep that idea in your back pocket. It's going to matter a lot more by the end of this video than it seems like it should right now. Let's start with the plant that gives you the most bang for your visual buck: lavender. Plant it along a sunny walkway or up against the foundation near an entryway, and you get 2 things at once. It looks intentional, almost expensive, even though it's not. And it carries a strong fragrance that tends to sit heavy in the air right where you want, a kind of soft barrier, near doors and windows. Lavender wants full sun and soil that drains well. If you're gardening somewhere with heavy clay or a yard that holds water after a storm, raise the bed a few inches or mix in some grit, or you'll lose the plant to root rot before it ever gets the chance to do its job. Next is rosemary, and I think of this one as the multitasker. It's not just sitting there working in the background. You're going to use it in the kitchen too. Plant it near your patio, your outdoor kitchen if you have one, or right along the edge of where your trash cans sit. The idea isn't that rosemary scares anything off. The idea is simpler than that. Strong, resinous smells tend to mask the food odors that draw rodents in the first place. Less obvious food smell, less reason to investigate. Then there's lemongrass, and this is where the story shifts a little. Because up to now we've been talking about defense. Lemongrass is really about making the space better for you. It's got a bright citrus smell that's genuinely pleasant to sit near, which makes it perfect for a patio or a seating area. It loves heat, so if you're somewhere with long, hot summers, this plant will be thrilled. And here's a detail a lot of people miss. Once a clump gets established, you can divide it. 1 plant becomes 2, becomes 4, over a couple of seasons. You're not just adding a pest-conscious plant to your yard. You're improving the whole space while you do it. Now here's where I want to slow down, because this next one has a catch, and I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't tell you about it. Mint. Mint is one of the most effective, most fragrant, easiest plants you can grow. It's also one of the fastest ways to accidentally ruin a garden bed. Give mint an open patch of ground and a little time, and it will decide the whole bed belongs to it. Its roots run sideways underground and pop up new shoots feet away from where you planted it. So here's the fix. Keep mint in a pot, even if you sink that pot into the ground. Let the container do the containing. You get all the benefit and none of the regret. That's 4 down. Let's talk about marigolds, because this one's for anyone who's ever felt like gardening was getting expensive. Marigolds are about as budget-friendly as it gets. A single packet of seed can fill an entire border. They're easy to grow, they bloom fast, and their strong scent works well tucked around the edges of a vegetable garden. I want to be careful here, because you'll see channels claim marigolds create some kind of wall snakes won't cross. That's not something I can honestly tell you. What I can tell you is, they're cheap, they're colorful, and they're a genuinely useful edge plant for very little money. Next is one you might not know yet. Society garlic. It's a strange, striking little plant. Up top, you get soft purple flowers that look almost delicate. Down below, the foliage carries a strong, garlicky smell. Think of it as a border plant, planted in a line along a fence or a walkway, not a miracle barrier. And here's something worth pausing on if you've got dogs or cats. Plants in the onion and garlic family can be harmful if pets eat them. So keep society garlic somewhere your dog isn't going to be grazing while you're not looking. That's not me being overly cautious. That's just how you keep a good idea from turning into a vet bill. Now we're at the halfway point, and I want to ask you something before we keep going. Have you noticed any of these already growing in your own yard, maybe without ever thinking about why they were planted there in the first place? A lot of older homes have rosemary or lavender near the front door for exactly this reason, even if nobody living there today remembers it. All right, here's a question for you. What if one of the plants people most associate with snakes could actually become part of a strategy against them? I'm talking about the snake plant. Yes, the name is exactly why I saved it for the middle of this list. But it's not about snakes being afraid of it, it's about structure. Snake plants grow in stiff, upright, dense clusters. Planted in a row, they create a physical boundary that's harder to move through than open mulch or bare soil. And if you're in a colder part of the country, here's the bonus. Grow it in a container, and you can bring it indoors when frost shows up, then set it back outside come spring. We're building towards something now, so let's keep the momentum. Garlic, the actual bulb you cook with, deserves its own spot on this list. It carries one of the strongest natural odors of anything we've talked about. And again, I want to be precise with you. Garlic alone isn't going to solve a rat problem. But strategically placed along a border, mixed into a bed that already includes some of these other plants, it adds one more layer. Layers are the whole idea here. No single plant is doing the job alone. Last one, and I picked this on purpose, because it's not what you'd expect to see on a list like this. Nasturtium. It's an edible ornamental plant, the kind people grow because the flowers are beautiful and the leaves taste peppery in a salad. I'm including it because it makes the point I've been circling this whole video. The goal was never to build a wall of plants that repel animals. The goal is a yard that's thoughtfully designed, one that gives you beauty, usefulness, and just enough of a deterrent effect layered on top. So now you've got 9 plants, and here's what most videos like this leave out completely. You could plant every single one of these, perfectly, and still end up with rats or a snake sighting, if your property is still handing out food, water, and shelter somewhere else. The plants are the outer layer. They're not the foundation. Linda Carpenter found this out the hard way. She spent a whole Saturday putting in lavender and rosemary along her fence line, felt great about it, and then left her garbage cans unsecured the same week. Guess which one her yard actually responded to? The rats didn't care about the lavender, they cared about the trash. So, here are the 3 things that make every plant on this list actually work. First, remove the food sources. Secure your garbage. Clean up fallen fruit before it rots on the ground. Store pet food in a sealed container instead of an open bag in the garage. Don't leave bird seeds scattered out overnight. Second, remove the hiding places. Tall grass, brush piles, stacked wood right up against the house, general clutter near your foundation. All of it is shelter. All of it is exactly what a rat or a snake is looking for. Third, close the access points. Walk the outside of your house and look for gaps around the garage, the shed, the foundation, anywhere a pipe or a utility line goes through the wall. Small gaps are all a rat needs. Here's the real takeaway, and I want you to actually hear this part. The goal was never a magical, snake-proof, rat-proof yard. That doesn't exist. The real goal is a property that gives them fewer reasons to stay. The 9 plants are the attractive outer layer. Sanitation, cleared hiding spots, and sealed access points are the foundation underneath it. So don't just plant something and hope. Tonight, walk your own property and ask yourself 3 simple questions. What could be feeding them? Where could they be hiding? And where could they possibly be getting in? If this helped you look at your yard a little differently, go ahead and subscribe, because we're going to keep digging into exactly this kind of practical, honest gardening advice. And here's something worth thinking about before you go. You now know what can make a yard less inviting. But there's a mistake a lot of well-meaning gardeners make that quietly undoes all of this progress, one most people don't even notice until they're standing in their yard wondering why the problem came back. That's exactly what we're covering next.